Hello, and welcome back to me trying to figure out art. Or welcome if you're new here. So the kind of backstory to this piece was that a year ago, I did a drawing that was digital, and I hadn't actually finished any digital art in years. I think about 4 years. I'd started several. I'd started. There might have been one in there that I finished. I can't remember. But as you can imagine, I was a little out of practice. I didn't really have a way I did things. I'd kind of come back from doing a lot of oil painting and traditional art and stuff like that. And so I kind of futzed about and came up with what you're seeing in the top left. And just in honor of it being a year since I just slapped the time-lapse that Procreate creates naturally onto YouTube for no reason. With no forethought. It was a decision made in the middle of the night as soon as I finished. And I just decided, in honor of that kind of energy, I was gonna do a redraw and make her cute this time, like cartoony cute, you know? Because I was in a very semi-realism kind of mood phase at the time, or rather, I think that might be the start of it. No, I think it's really just what I was doing with oil painting at the time, and I haven't oil painted in a year because I can't multitask apparently. But yeah, I was just trying to figure out what I wanted to change, what I wanted to stay the same. So I changed the internal structure of the ear because I hated it. So her ears are different. Fun. I also kind of changed the headband because also didn't think it looked great. Kind of like it was meant to be over her hairline, but it just made it look like she had a massive forehead. And here I struggle with the shoulder because, see, her shoulders are kind of like hunched forward slightly. So the one that's closer to us it looks like it's smaller than the other, but that's just the angle. And then you have to be really careful when you're doing stuff where it's like, oh, it looks odd because of the angle, because sometimes it can look like it's just odd. Here I was kind of figuring out, because I knew I looked at the original and it's obviously a looser garment, like it looks kind of gathered, but I also wanted her to have like a figure, because one of her defining features is that I gave her tons of cleavage. Sometimes it's fun. So I wanted to kind of enjoy the curved lines. Like I like drawing curved lines, and I like a lot of kind of variance, which is also what I'm doing with the hair. There's a reason a lot of the people I draw have wavy hair. It's a thing. But I kind of end it straight because you don't know how it ends in the original, like at all. It just kind of, the canvas ends first. But I was kind of taking a different approach, and I was showing slightly more of the girl and kind of doing a little end before the end of the canvas, which I tend to like they're like a little almost medallion in the middle. So yeah, standard, just kind of erasing in lines of things that are underneath the hair, because I'm probably gonna add a slight transparency, and by probably I mean I already did. I've done this. It's over. Here I am, kind of doing my eye thing. I am gonna flip this eye. I'm not gonna draw a second eye. It's called making the most of your tools. This is why I've been doing digital art for a year and not done much traditional. That and that I haven't figured out how to film it adequately. and that's now a concern. what you might notice is that the past few times I've really gotten into like really emphasizing the lower lashes a lot, which was not originally part of the style, but it is now because it's cute. Like, I like it. So I'm actually color picking from the original here, because in the original I did it all grayscale, and then I did like overlay or something like that, which is just something that I heard you could do. And I've tried so many times to get it to work, and it's never looked good for me. By so many times, I mean, like, I tried 2 or 3 times, and then I decided it wasn't for me. But I wistfully look at it sometimes, and I always like, maybe that could work. And it probably could for somebody, not me. So just again, color picking. One of the things about color picking is obviously that it's not, I don't have flats for that because it was like a digital painting kind of thing. So figuring out where I want to color pick from is like a thing. Also, her hair was like completely black in the original, totally and completely black, which is not how I do hair anymore, or rather, it wasn't even at the time. I just felt like it because I didn't want to shade hair. Behind the scenes stuff that I remember after a year. That's how much I didn't want to do it. So I actually color picked a dark blue from in her eye, because it's like blues and purples. And I'm using that as her base color. And if you saw me scribble, that's just, sometimes I make the hairlines transparent, like the line art. And so I basically selected the line art and drew that in, so that if I do that, it doesn't look rough when the lines get transparent. I didn't end up making them transparent this time, so that was all a waste of time. It wasn't actually that long, so it wasn't too much of a waste. So, what am I? I realized I didn't connect all the lines down there, so then I had to be very careful about how I drew it. Yeah, and now I'm just kind of doing some basic kind of shading. I didn't want to bring my reference back to color pick from it, even though I forgot that I'd wanted to do the kind of same highlight on her bust. So I just guessed on what color it should be. I like it more, actually. I feel like it's more vibrant. And yeah, that was just part of my general. I add a lot of gradients. I add, blushing to the skin. And now I'm going in with a multiply layer, which is, I believe you can see in the upper right corner, it's like a really dull lilac. Yeah, just fabric. I find with fabric that I like to do like the really nitpicky folds and then use like a soft brush over areas that are more generally cast in shadow. I feel like that works well with fabric. Yeah. Another thing you'll notice this compared to the original is that this is much lower contrast. Part of that is that I have a much like cartoonier, lighter art style now. The other part is that I was taking a black and white image and colorizing it. And what you know is that really works well with a lot of midtones, but it was my first time attempting it. So there were a lot of really dark tones, and they just didn't get colorized, so they were completely black in the original. And I didn't change it because I was done. I was done with this entire experiment. I was like, it's dramatic, it's fine. Because sometimes you don't want to be good, you just want to be good enough. And this isn't one of those times. This time I think I actually did good. I'm proud of myself. We'll see how long that lasts. But, yeah. The multiply layer for the hair is a separate layer. Yeah. It's a clipping mask over the hair. Whereas the rest I would select the area I was going to draw over. Oh yeah, I believe I'm just erasing hair strokes. because I feel like it looks slightly more natural. But it's not very obvious here because her hair is very dark. And what I'm doing here is I select it, and then I use a soft brush and kind of just add some, and then I tend to blend out edges. I like to do this because I find it gives me a good mix of really harsh edges to the highlight and really soft edges. And you don't just want one or the other. You do want a mix. At least I do. I mean, you don't want it to be too muddy, and you don't want it to be like you're doing something really exciting. You don't want it to be too sharp. Here's, I like to add like a reflection at the top of the eye that's like a different color that really stands out. Although I do knock it back. I decided that is too much of that teal. And yeah, I'm just color picking and drawing lines, and I usually do that after I color the lines, but I did it before this time because I was frazzled. This took longer than I expected, which it's only like 4 hours, which is not long for me, but I started late in the day. Yeah, one of my big concerns was because her hair is dark. I was really concerned that all the detailing of where you erase out on the eyes, where I did, not you, sorry, wouldn't be clear, like you wouldn't be able to see it all. And that kind of happened, so oops. Goodbye. Have a nice day. Don't blame me too bad for that. When it's up close, you can see it. That's fine. That's the level I can accept.